Good evening and welcome to the City of Montgomery City Council Workshop for December 9th, 2025. We are beginning at 5:01. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Ms. Bevan, we have a quorum, but Mr. Olson is running late and Mr. Chulowitz will not be here this evening. With that, I'd like to ask everybody to stand and pledge allegiance to the American flag on the screen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, in the regular spot, the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. I'm good. So we have a public forum. I did not receive any requests to speak. Does anybody, so we'll just move on, or does somebody want to speak? Okay. Workshop agenda. All workshop items on the agenda are for discussion only. No action will be taken. Number 3 on your agenda, a discussion on municipal complex design build. Here. I'm just going to present.
Well, thanks for having me. My name is John Stevens. I'm the architect with Engineered Buildings of Texas / McFate Group. A few months ago, I was here, and I wanted to fulfill a promise that I made to the council to provide an update and to receive input on the design of the new municipal / police department. So just give an update where we're at right now. I want to start by saying in big, bold, black font letters, this is preliminary. It is we are at a programming level test fit stage of just a very rough concept design. So basically what we were tasked with the first proposal that we gave and you guys voted on was to engage on some existing conditions modeling and verification of the building. We've done that. We've had the building 3D scanned. We have it modeled in our Revit software to produce these drawings. We've engaged in a pretty intense programming phase with the police department and the municipal departments. So we created a working spreadsheet of all the different wants, needs, desires, square footages, as well as code requirements, and we were tasked with coming up with a design. We worked through multiple design iterations. We're a design build firm, so we also provide some very rough preliminary budgets estimates. So through all of that information gathering, we kind of came up with where we are at today. And again, it is a very preliminary stage. We will still go through, the next phase would be presenting an A&E contract, a proposal to do full-on architectural and engineering services. Through this first phase, it was only myself and L Squared. They did a site survey, which they are still working on coming up with a concept site plan for this. I have a very rough site plan in this package. And so that was it, along with having the building scanned. So, like I said, the next phase would be a full architectural and engineering services where we will engage the services of mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural, geotechnical services, security, IT, technology. We have all those services that we will be working with on the next set of services. In that proposal is a full design, schematic design, verifying the program, schematic design, design development before we get into construction documents. So there's tons of time that we will be honing in on the design, the spaces, and so right now, I just ask that everyone think of this as kind of a test fit. You know, taking all the programmatic spaces that we were given and seeing what we can do to get inside of the existing gym's hardware space. So I'll just run through the floor plans. You can stay on that first floor plan. I gotta tell you. So the amount of square footage that was tasked to us really necessitated 2 floors in the existing gym's hardware space. It will be tight along the perimeter just because it's a gable structure, but in the middle we'll have a larger volumes to work with. So my thoughts, this is the first floor. So the very first thing that I started to think about when laying out the design was obviously the council chambers. I wanted to have some space with some height. So council, and it's kind of the heartbeat, the center of the community space. So that went right in the middle. And then I wanted the rest of the space flanked by programs that needed exterior light. So I didn't want to have, I've tried very hard to have no offices that were inbound, you know. So you can see here we've got most of the offices kind of flanking on the outside where we can punch new windows into the space. Spaces that didn't need tons of light, like locker rooms and the fitness center. It would be nice to get some light into the fitness center, but not necessary. So that is kind of the organizational structure. We've got an elevator with record storage, a couple flex offices that we've worked through. Just the sheer amount of offices required a couple of them to be inbound. We've got some flex meeting spaces, which are off the council room. We've got technology and AV. I've got mechanical spaces allotted, and if we don't use that mechanical electrical space, that will get returned back to the municipal. But in the programming stage, I would rather err on the side of caution and have more mechanical electrical space than not having enough. And as we develop this, you'll see on the second floor. So basically, you come into this is the municipal side of the building. You come in to the lobby, you've got your windows, and you've got an entrance into the courtroom. Thinking about security, I wanted to minimize the amount of doorways into the space for security purposes. So I've got one door here, and then in the case of a lockdown, you know, there's 2 doors that are locking, 3 doors that are locking the public outside of the municipal space from the public lobby. The police station, the police department has their own entrance off the front. So they have their public face with their window, some open office space. They've got a flex office space off of the lobby, which can have multiple functions. We've got a briefing room. I've got a set of restrooms, and then working with the chief, we've got the sally port in the back where they'll come in off of the back entrance park, and then they'll do the intake, the holdings, evidence. We had a charrette yesterday with Ms. Tilley and the evidence officer, so we'll be reworking this to get it exactly how they want. We've got a couple investigators in ammo storage, gun storage, narcotic storage, so all the evidence and intake is over here. And then as you come through, we've got a kind of an open stair that would go up to the second floor, and then we flank this with offices. We've got a large break room, which will be for everybody. So we do have a few things. We've got to add a couple doors to kind of close off the police station from the municipal side of things. But in general, we've got offices in the back, chief, executive, captain, sergeant, LT, sergeant, and then a large conference room, which can be dubbed as council chambers as well on the back side. Let's see. Moving up to the second floor, we've had lots of conversations in the last couple of weeks with Brent and his team. We've moved some people up to the second floor. So this stair down here in the bottom left-hand side is more of a communicating stair for the municipal side of things. You come up, and there's kind of an open lobby, flex meeting space, workroom. I've got the elevator and the elevator equipment room here, and then I've got offices. Again, they can get natural light on the exterior. We've kind of got a circulation pattern that's going around. We've got restrooms for everybody, another stair for egress out. These are some future offices. We were tasked with providing future spaces for both city and the police department. We've got some inboard storage rooms, record storage, municipal storage. The laundry room, I have it up here, but that's gonna get moved. We had a conversation just yesterday that that's gonna get moved down to the first floor. Coming up in that, like I said, an open stair, so it's not just a kind of a back of house stair, more of a monumental stair, I guess. Coming up here to a shared conference room for police, municipal. Then we've got a large multi-purpose / training room on the second level, which would have some nice natural light kind of overseeing the front of the building. And as I said, I've got probably too much mechanical at this point. If this gets smaller as we design the systems and we work with the mechanical, electrical engineers, these rooms get returned back. You know, either we'll make them smaller or we'll turn those rooms into something else. But I wanted to make sure that I had that space covered in the design. Future dispatch area. So a lot of this is future up here, according to the conversations with the police department. That's kind of the general floor plan. This is an addition, so this would be where the lumber storage area is here. We looked at that, and it would be very difficult to kind of work that in with the kind of strange structural system, not to mention the walls. They just have brick tied to the girts on that, so it would have to be totally rebuilt anyway to make it a functional space with insulation, vapor barriers, things like that. So it made more sense to just put an addition on there and give the space, you know, what is really needed. This is just, again, diagrammatic. We haven't had any conversations with mechanical engineers, but I'm planning on a couple rooftop units for this space, and then 2 to 3 units that would come into this space and go up and down to feed this space. All the electrical service comes in on this side of the building. We will be reworking some of that service, providing a generator. We're going to try to move some of that to the back of the building where it's more secure, recapture some of that facade for covered parking, more parking, things like that. Going the wrong way. So these are just, again, really preliminary elevations. One thing that I was trying to do, sorry, I'm losing, was create a pretty dynamic front facade of the building to make this look not like a hardware store, to be honest. That was something that was tasked with the team that brought me on. They wanted to revitalize this building, make it look like a civic building, something that would bring pride to the area and make it look not like a Jim's Hardware. I know I've heard some feedback that people like the Jim's Hardware, and we'll work to address those concerns. But those were the things that were tasked to us, was to kind of bring a modern interpretation and rehab of the hardware space. And we were over there for 3 or 4 hours today, and unfortunately, a lot of the building construction techniques exist in that building as well. So some of those exterior facades, there's no vapor barrier, the brick is just attached to the girts. So we're gonna have to, unfortunately, rip down a lot of that brick and rebuild, but the structure is good. So the roof and the structure and all that, and we're obviously carving in a lot of windows. So again, so these are just very preliminary, but the idea of this canopy running across is twofold. It kind of creates a covered space, provides sun shading for a lot of the windows that we have. Obviously down below, we may have to do some other sun shading devices on the lower windows, but the upper windows, that provides sun shading from for those windows, and it provides something that just kind of ties the whole thing together. This is going to change. I want to, just reiterate that. So you can see we're punching some windows. Some windows aren't in yet. The back over here, this is the addition. We'll probably have some clear story windows, but those are like investigator rooms and intake. So probably not a lot of lower windows, but there might be some other windows that would come in there. There's a covered canopy in the back for the police officers to come in and have a covered area. And then again, so here's very quick renderings. You can ask Brent, I even was hesitant to show show these the last time that I know Brent provided an update. My software does this very quickly. I can change these materials. It's almost like a video game software. So I wanted to give some semblance of a realistic look of what this building could look like. This stone was meant, I don't have the appropriate material library at this for this run. This is meant to be the similar stone that the community center has, so more of a limestoney look, and then some wood look. I'm not opposed to putting brick in there. I've heard some people have had some suggestions about, you know, bringing brick and limestone and things like that back. And obviously the canopy, you know, we'll work on tweaking the design. But this was a very first concept to provide, you know, just to see, hey, this is what the test fit phase kind of brought. And so these are the two views. And so if this was meant to be, you know, a wood look metal panel that's on top, very low maintenance. I would not recommend doing like a cedar, you know, in my opinion, that just, you're gonna have to finish that every few years. They make really nice metal wood looks that are economically, you know, priced. And then obviously this was done 2.5 weeks ago. I've already got other ideas on how to make this building better, in my opinion. So that is, I think, kind of a quick rundown of where we're at. And with that, I'll open it up to if anyone has any questions, comments, concerns.
So one thing that I see right off the bat, I see the utility of the permits to the left. When you walk in, and you walk directly into the court clerk's window. I've been on the court clerk side, and people get irate when they have to pay a bill or are told something they don't want to hear. And police, the lieutenants or officers or sergeants that are here have to come and mitigate any kind of really diffuse the situation. I'm not seeing an opportunity for the police officers to come through here from the police side. They'd have to come all the way around. And when that happens, and it does happen. So if there's a way for it to be on the right-hand side, closer to the police department, so they could come through without having to go all the way around the horn to get in there, that would be.
Yeah, we certainly can look at ways to tie everything together. Full transparency, we did have the police windows, and through conversations with the team, the request from the team was to have the police window separate from the other windows. So,
well, court clerks, we don't have a police window today, and I don't know, Chief, are y'all looking to have a police window? What would the police window serve? What does that do?
Yes, because we get a lot of business at that window that Ms. Good should be handling, but what they're doing is they're coming to find us to say, hey, we've got somebody up here at the window. Most of the business that comes through that window is for the police department, because tickets are just certain times a day or certain times a week. Not most of the people that come to this window are coming to this window for police. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So Kimberly, what is your feedback on that? Just looking at that, that's what I saw. Because I was like, wait, how are the police going to get there? Because I've been in here with people get upset.
I can't see it that far, sorry.
Oh.
At any rate, you bring up a good point, so we'll take a look at it and see if there's a way to get a hallway or something that comes right
From the
over to
police
that
side
area.
over, because this is not connected.
It's a good point.
So all the ceiling heights will be at 8 foot, except the council section there in the middle.
no, not 8 foot. We're gonna try to get as high as we can. We've got a floor to floor right now of about 13 foot, and we'll know more when we get a structural engineer involved. But the goal is to I don't want 8 foot ceilings in this place. I don't think you guys want 8 foot ceilings. So no, the minimum I would like to have, maybe 8'6" in like a restroom or something, but we want taller spaces. That's the goal. So we're gonna do our best to get, I mean, obviously we're gonna be limited, like I said, on the gable or the eave height, that's the only place that we're really restricted. As we get closer towards the middle of the building, we'll have more heights. And so, again, in offices, we may have like 8'6" around the perimeter or 9 foot, and then we can go up to 10-foot ceilings for most of the rest of the space.
Is it petitioning the metal, or is it gonna be wood construction?
It's all metal.
They don't
Yeah.
go to them.
We have to upgrade because of this type of the building that it's gonna be, so it will not be wood construction.
Do you have to expand the sprinkler system?
There is no sprinkler system in there, so this building will be fully suppressed.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be required to do that.
Yes.
On your rendition of the facade of the building, I think sans, limestone is really right in Lakey, Texas, but I'm not real happy about it here in Montgomery, Texas, because we're more pine woods than we are limestone. Is there anything that you could show us that would kind of give the ambiance of Old Town Montgomery versus HUD?
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, I've only done those 2 renderings. That was really all we were tasked with. But we can work on picking, working with other materials as we go forward.
Yes, for sure.
So, I understand. And that's my task is, again, this was something that I put together very preliminary, and I hesitated even presenting it, but it was something, it was a start. And I remember
Starting point, for sure.
it was a starting point. I remember the very first time I showed a floor plan, Tilly called me and was like, hey, there's a lot of people yelling and screaming over here, but we've gotten to the point where I think most of the team that have been part of the working team, we're working through it, and we've been able to, that's the design process. So we'll get there as well. We have not really tackled the exterior for materials palettes. So yes, am I opposed to, different stone or brick? No, I'm all for, we do brick buildings, we do metal buildings, ACM panel. So there's tons of different material palettes that we can work with. Like I said, those were just materials that were suggested. So.
And this is what your opportunity is, what you would like to see. He got that direction from me because I said the community center, I said, this is the look of, what things are down here, and the community center has the same type, not that color, but he didn't have that color, so, but that was where it came from. To try to create some consistency, especially for municipal buildings, so that kind of looks similar. But I don't think anybody is married to any of it, one way or the other. It's just start.
My whole thing is hopefully that, that from 105 all the way to Buffalo Springs is going to sort of encompass what we feel like Montgomery, the birthplace of the Texas flag, East Texas, that, that ambiance.
And architecture.
Yes, and architecture.
I mean, like I said, it's a starting point, that's feedback.
Red brick is always good.
What did you say, Carol?
I said red brick is always good.
I agree.
Reminds me of Sugarland, they did their brick and everything.
How serious is the problem with the brick being attached to the steel riser?
It's a pretty serious problem with no back, no vapor barrier backing and stuff like that. So, and with the amount of work that we're going to be doing with adding a lot of windows, we'll try to see what we can salvage. We won't really know until we get the structural engineers on board. But yeah, a lot of that brick is just attached right to the girts, and so we're going to have to do something in there to provide the appropriate envelope for them.
And something that we haven't even touched yet. I am still looking at the potential for EOC, which creates a few more things as far as hardening the building and wind loads. And, we're not on the coast by any means, but there are some things that we could, because I think in this area, and, we talked to the chief too, that we're kind of it up here in this part of the county anyway, so.
Yeah, and we had a long meeting with the structural engineer this morning on site in the building, doing some selective opening up walls, looking at the pre-engineered metal building, and there's going to be some reinforcing of the metal building to get this up to snuff. So,
Hurricane straps,
It would be a good idea if we could have some kind of a preliminary cost analysis for where we're at as we go. Because we know we're not gonna be able to spend $10 million on this building. You know, so he needs to be working with some number as well as when he would try to meet his number. But,
And we have the preliminary, you know, numbers, which are just under $10 million at the full build.
that really, we needed overhead storage here for 25 years now. We're talking about it, $3 million. We need probably well over $6 million worth of street repairs right now. So we can't stand there at Taj Mahal and let the rest of it go.
It's pretty basic, really. It's not that Taj Mahal.
Oh, no, I just know what I'm saying. I'm saying bring it down to something livable with both.
Well, and that's the argument. Do you build what you need now for the future, or do you build what you need right this minute and pay more in the future? I mean, that's really where we're at. And that's the question that we've asked is,
And I don't think anybody on council expects Bill to tolls, you know, like I think we're very reasonable, but yeah, we'd like to know where, like, what does the building look, with this floor plan of that, what is that price tag? And then we can start adding and taking away, and, you know, when you look at a different facade, you know, okay, well, this is a $2 million facade, maybe we should look at a $1.25 million facade.
Sure.
Something like that.
Yeah, but the whole thing is too, I don't want to be $7 pick of a dime. I want it where my grandchildren will
Well,
not be.
50 years from now, it should be sustainable.
and that's where we started. You know, we looked at what this community looks like when you build all the houses and what that staff would look like. And we looked at the police officers, we looked at admin, and that's the number of people that we needed. You know, we figured the square foot by that. Not anything fancy about it. It's purely
Just utilitarian.
square foot
Yeah.
usage.
How many square feet is in this building?
It's about 32,000, I believe.
That's up and
That's
down.
2 stories? Yeah, that's 2 stories.
Two stories with the addition.
16,000 on the bottom?
Yes, 15,000.
It's about 15,000 footprint. I mean,
Okay.
so it's about 32,000 all in. And that's not including some of the corridors and stuff. So it's 32,000 in program space.
Terrible. Horrible.
It's just a starting point.
Yeah.
It's just, we have to begin and then we can.
You just gotta tell him you want red brick.
I like the red brick that's on it.
That's what I told
But
him.
it's not sustainable, so that.
It's not healthy, it's not
connected to the brick.
structurally sound.
You can
It's not.
take it off and
But the
move
purpose,
on.
yeah, and he said, yeah, we can put it in purpose, but if you want red brick, we can use some of it, we'll have to be able to salvage all of it.
Okay.
But he's saying the brick's
Some cost
not,
savings, but,
he's saying the brick's not structurally sound.
No,
yeah,
they're not structural bricks, they're just siding bricks. It's just,
facade.
Well, so I know you just came in, but the envelope is, a lot of that brick is just attached to the girts. There's no backing behind it. There's no vapor barrier. There's no insulation. So with the amount of windows that we're going to be punching in here, it'll be difficult to salvage and kind of put a vapor barrier and some sheathing and things behind it. So yes, if the direction we want to go is more of a red brick than the wood or things like that, absolutely. Those are all things that we can look at, you know.
And I would think you could save some money on the sides where the windows are, you know, more generic there. I mean, it's really the front facing that you're concerned with the look, and so.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah, by far the more money is being spent on that front facade and wrapping that corner. The rest of it is going to be more utilitarian. Even on the back side where the investigators' offices are, wrapping around the back of the police station, there's not really going to be that much architectural embellishment back there. You know, even in the back of the building, there's, you know, that'll just be, if we can keep the brick, or it'll just be a brick facade or a block facade in the back, you know.
So another question, these offices, the size of the offices, can you kind of give us an idea? The reason I ask is we have offices in here that we have people doubled up in.
Yep.
And in the event we continue this explosion, I don't know, in 40 years and we need to double up and offices were out of space, are they big enough to be able to double
Yes,
up? Okay.
some of them are fairly large. We've, like I said, we've gone through a programming phase. We've We've gone through meeting with individuals that are going to be inhabiting these offices, kind of talked with what they want, what they need in their offices, storage space. Storage is a big deal, so we've added a lot of storage rooms, plus we've also made the offices a little bit bigger. Most offices you can fit, you know, your desk and a side table, and so that would allow for the flexibility in the future to have 2 desks in there and get rid of the side table. We also have accounted for future office space, which may not be used right now, but at least it's there and it's planned for and ready to go. And according to, you know, some other people, there's been other people already hired that would need to go in some of those offices.
Yeah, so I think we've got like around 36 today in this tiny building, right? And so when we get there, just wanted to make sure we have room. At some point, the city's gonna have 100 employees.
Right.
So can this house 100 employees?
We'll have to look at that.
Okay. 75, I mean, but that's why I was wondering about the doubling up on the offices impact.
Yeah, most of the, none of the offices are like 8 by 10. They're all fairly large offices. That's what was kind of requested to us. So I would say most of those offices in a pinch could definitely fit 2 people inside of it.
So then, do you know the number of, I can go through, I guess, and count, but maybe, I see the titles on some, how many are open? Do you have a
The
number?
ones on the second floor are, the first floor is mostly filled.
Okay.
The ones on the second floor that are labeled future are the ones that are like future office space. And then there are some open cubicle spaces that would
So
be.
there's 6 up top that are open.
Yeah.
Some of the spaces are kind of convertible too, not even locked in yet. If you look at where the development department is, we kind of left that all open there. That may be cubicle style with code enforcement and you know, somebody at the window for permits and have all the plans stored on the wall and, you know, accessible to bring builders in so they can.
Sure.
That's just some of the best practices I've learned over the years. I've seen great places traveling around. Of course, they're giant cities, but they still look nice.
Yeah, and so that's just one example. Like, we have had like department conversations. In the schematic design phase, my plan is to do room data sheets where we meet with every individual, every department, and we really hone in on the needs of what goes into each one of the rooms, the offices. And so that will help with the design team to, from electrical technology to everybody, to make sure that all the offices and all the spaces have the appropriate needs, so to speak.
Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Stevens.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is great. Good starting point.
Personally, the facade on the front was eye-appealing to me, so I think it looks great. I like the mix of wood and the limestone, and I really think it would fit well with the surrounding buildings and structures and still give it that newness. And very eye-appealing, so I commend you on the facade.
I know we want a modern twist, but we want to continue with that hometown feel and old feel, yet with new and modern inside. I know it's a balancing act, right?
Yep.
It is a balancing act.
It is.
My whole thing with the limestone is that it's not really limestone-y here.
We can get
Black
that.
bimbo on the outside?
We can get the modern farmhouse look.
I don't want to like farmhouse looking, but I do want it to be sustainable.
We're working with that. We have this, the mechanical and electrical teams. We're looking at potentially some solar panel usage and obviously the HVAC systems for sure. We're unfortunately kind of landlocked with the orientation of the building, but it is what it is on that point. But we are investigating those systems as well for sustainability.
Are you familiar with our community center, that stone that's on there? Is that expensive?
No, you can
dinosaur?
get it. I even followed up on what Casey told me. You can get it just closer to Austin.
Yeah.
And it's the same stuff. It's got the seashells and all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And that's what I told him originally. He just didn't have a picture of it.
Sure.
But that's exactly where he was going with it.
I'm gonna give you the answer that my team always tells me, you don't want an architect giving you pricing.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't know if red brick and that is
Yeah.
similar, because we've got. the community
Brick's
center.
probably a little bit cheaper than the limestone. I'm safe to say on that, but if you want pricing, I used to be able to give pricing, but since post-COVID, construction prices are out the window, so yeah, I would, if you want that, I can get that information for you. I'll have our, we have an
Moving down the
estimator on
road
staff.
maybe, but I just was curious if you knew.
We have an estimator and we are a design build firm, so I can get that information. I just don't wanna misspeak.
Oh, totally understood. Okay. We like that community center for siding, that siding going up to City Hall
I'd
would
like for the
be
building to look like,
ideal too.
when somebody comes here in 10 years, they think that it's been there for 50 years or 60 years, you know, but in reality, it's new. And I want the inside, of course, to be really new.
Right, right.
And, you know, we'll get there, but at least the vision, or at least some of the conversations is using tall glass in the lobby area and that, so it feels open. And we also need to address the programming for things that are available for the community, you know, so it's a community space, so they need to be able to use some of these things, and some happens now, but when we have something like that, they can really use the spaces, and you want it to be accessible if you can.
See, I hadn't really thought about that, but we do use this area right here for warming stations a lot.
So. Anybody else have any other questions or comments or feedback?
Well, debating on whether to bring it up now or not, but concerning the extension, the facade, is that something that we need to do in the initial phases, or can we leave that part off?
The addition itself,
Yeah, well, you know, the extension that's gonna cover where the lumber yard is.
yeah, that part, that's this part here. This is what all fits in here with the holding cells, the sally port, all that.
Basically, where the sally port is, that's the sally port in that evidence room, that's where the sally port is. So in between that area is the.
I got it, I didn't see that.
When we looked at the original idea, you know, and we just did the 2 levels, we were already bumping into each other again, and so that's where this came in, is
Okay.
it really makes sense to do that now than.
Space, yeah.
And we, just so everyone knows, we've looked at, this is I think the 5th option. So we looked at a single-story space, we looked at the 2-story space just in Jim's Hardware, then we looked at the 1-story space with an addition, then it was 2-story space with the addition. So we've looked at this is just the last one where, so we have, yes, this is not the first iteration of the plans. It's the first iteration of the renderings, but this is the 5th or so iteration of the plans. And we have gone through with the team, a pretty rigorous program, you know, ask.
And that's really the answer to what Sarah said, is will everybody fit here, you know, 20-some years? And that's exactly what we did with the chief. You know, he gave me the numbers of how many, you know, full build out, you know, all staff. And then we looked at the admin side, full build out. If, you know, we hit 10,000, 15,000 people, you know, what would that number be? And that's how we got to this many square feet.
Yeah, so the initial, just so everyone knows, the initial programming ask, you know, before we had any floor plans, I think this building's around 7,500 square feet, somewhere in there, somewhere. So we looked at the starting point of 7,500, 7,800 square feet, I don't remember it offhand. But the very first.
150.
6,000.
Like 6,000.
Yeah, 150 by 150.
So the very first ask, where I asked everyone to just fill out what you need, it came back at like 8,000 to to 9,000 square feet from the ask. And then we had a meeting, we talked about it, I put it in the floor plan, and then the next programming phase, it went to 15. And so like, it's just as the team has evaluated like future growth and expansion and different programs that the police department has wanted, the need, and then we started talking about future, just having the flexible spaces that could be converted into more offices down the line. You know, the flex space on the second floor where you come up the stairs, like that could be converted into more offices. So there's more spaces that they might be really nice to be open right now, but in the future there could be more office space that could be added, or more cubicle space that could be added for more bodies if the municipality grows.
So it's really, the city is upstairs, a lot of the city is upstairs with growth available, and then downstairs is the PD, and then those that have to work with public or developers or whatever have the ability through permits of utilities, code enforcement direct, and then finance director. Yeah.
Really, the police department's in the addition, and on the right, and then a little bit in the back, and then the municipality's on the left. So it's almost kind of like one of these where they're
And a
just
lot
kind
of
of
that
working.
went to flow, you know, and how we work together. Then the police department needs to get in and out, in and out. We've got people moving in and out, which gives them the ability to do that. They're all located together, they communicate. Same with us, we're here, even though some are upstairs, but that's, you know, just run up the steps, you're there, and it was kind of flow, I think. I'm not saying this is the perfect, but at least we're starting to get to a point where it's like, oh, okay, now I can see everybody, you know, works.
When you start thinking about who you talk to on a constant, regular basis and how accessible they are, and does it make sense?
Yeah, and I wish there was a thing that I could visually show all of the adjacencies that everybody wanted to be next to each
Everybody
other.
can be on a track.
And
you can just watch
and
where they go.
and when it was virtually impossible for me to get everybody that wanted to be next to somebody, you know.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, but we're still working through the plan. Again, this is just a snippet in time. This is going to change, and so but I wanted, like I was down here the last time, I promised that we would have this opportunity to get you know, input from the council. So that's why we're here today.
Thank you. Appreciate your work.
Of course.
We appreciate it. It's a good starting point, and then and hopefully you see good feedback tonight.
Yeah, red brick. I'll get red brick.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
I think we can find a
We can
way.
find something.
The goal is, look, this isn't my building. I've said this in the past. This is your guys' building. It's my job to execute your vision. So, I mean, if that's you know, I can provide different renderings, and we can have more conversations about what the look of the building is. I'm not here to say this is my building and it's the way it's going to be. I want everybody I want the whole city council and everybody to be happy with this building. So
It's not our building either,
it's the community's building, 100%, or the
Taxpayers.
building. Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Sally Port.
They pull the car in to take the person out of the back, take the security, so they don't run.
I thought that was kind of a funny name.
That's just what they call it. It is 5. Anybody else have anything else?
That was more about
Is the fitness center open?
Thank you so much. Yes, give me one second.
For city council? Good.
All right, it's 5:44. We'll adjourn.